Alright, welcome back. I guess we're on case 4? Yep. I do intend on having a good supper between it. Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea.
So, about 5 hours?
To the distant memory of that snowy evening.
Oh no, we're not doing Jack the
To
Ripper,
the
are
young
we?
lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Yeah. There'll be a good chunk in between. I may or may not do double of this then. I haven't even uploaded the next case, actually. I've been getting pretty bad at that. We'll see how interesting it is. Whether, like... Did you sleep last night? Not at all. No, not at all. It's an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gas lights twinkling, it was brighter than day, and even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous bed? After my time on the SS Burya, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Ah, yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except... when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops. Sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, the sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am so sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodging straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Oh, interesting. Good morning to you at this early hour. So there's a big M. Night Shyamalan plot twist, I'm assuming. Oh, yes, well. Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Satisfying is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh yes, it was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of the events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh. No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. Oh, okay. I'm still curious. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. There was a plot twist in one of the Danganronpa cases, I won't say what, but everyone saw it coming except me, and I should have thought of it. If those who are wondering, Case 2, Game 1. Thank you very much, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in a view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it all at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case already. Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure. I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? I'm being forced to play that game soonish. You know, Shiro, I'm gonna be frank with you. Give it a shot. It's a little goofy in an anime sense of terms, but the logic in the cases are done well. Like, there's nothing bullshit that I feel like is done completely bullshit-wise in that game. When you get to case 6, then the bullshit comes, but it's not like the case is bullshit, it's like the plot is bullshit, if that makes sense. But the counters, I forced them to play this game. Ha! Just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? That's a fair trade. They're about the same effort. Honestly, I think the way cases go in Danganronpa, I think you'll find it quite entertaining. A little more rapid thinking than this one. The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by the court. You'll solve the first case, no problem. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. You'll start having fun probably in case 2 and 3. I think those are the gems of the first game. Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Wow, ha, 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 ha. So I'm still a little shaken. Who was in the car when it went on fire? Was it like a key witness? I just can't help wondering. Mr. McGilder really was innocent. Or was he the one? Naruhodo. It's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you so for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGilder passed away, immediately followed... Oh, it was him. So he's the one who died in the fire, then, I'm assuming. Passed away immediately following the trial. No. What? Mr. McGilder is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course, that was the scene of the crime, which Mr. McGilder had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already. The police had identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage of that of Mr. McGildred. That's awful. The man must have slipped inside once the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. The bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGilder did mention going back into the courtroom to look at an omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. 'Tis time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. An inspection of the omnibus. Not to my knowledge, I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGilder talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor McGilder. I think he's not dead. I don't think that's him. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was, wow. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It really is a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Suzato-san has such a way with words. Yeah, she's kind of carrying him. And he seems to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. Okay. I have a feeling he definitely is the one who committed the crime. It's either he's playing a really good Goody Two-Shoes act, and it was the little girl, you know, the one with the smoke bomb, who did it, and he was covering for her. If he was playing the Goody Two-Shoes act to the end, He died in the carriage, destroying the evidence that he must have known that would have led to her being convicted, right? Option 2 is he's not dead, and instead he murdered one of the two guys or the coach on the front of the carriage, right? Obviously, him killing a banker would be really weird, but if he died on paper, he would lose so much money. There's just so much at stake for him to actually die. Chances are that the contract isn't annulled, he's alive, and he's just faking his own death to, like, work shit from the shadows. He's very an important person. I don't feel like... You think they get it wrong? Yes. They may have better skilled surgeons, but considering the amount of fuse and, like, shit lighting that shit up, chances are they don't have access to dental records. Right? They don't have DNA. It could be someone of similar stature who have died, and then he could have just filled in the shoes. Who knows? But I feel like it's too convenient. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, haha, goody two shoes act, I'm dying. Okay. You know, I feel like someone else died in there in his stead. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? We have a lot of loose ends coming up. It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Hehehe. Is something funny. We also have the question of potentially running into the lady in case 1. No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to the exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What is he going to say before? Could you perhaps give us some more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me, it's a murder. And the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died. As yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Huh, so the trial's tomorrow then. Is everything alright? Oh, yes. I'm just a little confused, that's all. Today's trial was, well, it left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, not a hodo. I don't know if I can face standing in that courtroom again after McGildred's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There's one similarity with yesterday's case. Oh. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Okay, I was thinking it was like, there was something tying both cases together. Oh. If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. Great. Hi, Joe. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Your time is up. You'll now have to excuse me. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now about 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until the court sits. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. What's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world worked so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing. Continue. On our way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important I have to do. Something very important And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he had ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, I thank you for an enlightening discussion. Naruhodo, what's this all about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of that sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attention on the matter at hand. I've taken a liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to appraise you of the details. How long has he been there? So I wish you the best of luck and bid you farewell. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Guess you're right. I have a feeling maybe he wanted to put away the one lady he never was able to. I hope I'm just imagining it, but it would look like... But I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Yep. Could we trouble you? What do you think? Lovely weather, isn't it? You think it is, man. Whether I got to do with anything. I don't know what this guy. Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eating out of your hand, you know. I don't know how to voice this guy, but Sasato-san told me it was foolproof. I can't do an English accent. I'm a busy man, and a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying? Haven't seen the Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. And all because of that bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I've never heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. Eh? It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Sue. I'm waiting for him to kiss ass to her. It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson. What's the matter with Sasato-san? The detective's name means something to her. That's it. Interesting. Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? You're acting like you know this man, Mrs. Sato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well. Yes, he features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, and the publication, what's it called again? Rance Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Shanes always enjoy a Wonderful, friendly rivalry. Riley, you rival Great Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of the bad lot of Scotland Yonders. That's what his own words. That's his highest praise? Well, Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not, and thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? Huh. I have to admit, to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know that what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps the sudden rise of fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear, that probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. A young woman was walking along the pavement on the Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital unconscious. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? Suppose you would have finished wherever it was office to start a takedown, would you? That's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruto. Brace yourself for this, okay? You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow, Lord Brock von Zieks. No. Sounds like you've heard of him then. Oh yes, we're very familiar with Lord von Zieks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. Reaper of the Bailey. Lord Brock von Zieks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilder told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zieks stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And in every single trial in which he's been a prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname. Suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zieks, Naruto secured a verdict of not guilty. Huh. And what of it? Well, I think that means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, don't you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, huh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus McGilder came cropper in that omnibus when it went into flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, did you? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt on the stick to everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Right, well, I filled you in as requested, and I'm very nearly out of chips. I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. We're still carrying out a few investigations there. It was a Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place. That's correct, ma'am, and if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already. He's as good as shaking like a leaf in a cell, he is. It'll give you a chuckle, if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer if he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper at the Bailey, they say. Something troubling you? Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is. Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. But if the man they have arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find a sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, wherever he is. But I'd like to try, so I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes, let's go. I want to look at Briar Road first. So, this is where it happened, Briar Road. Ah, look, Naruhodo. Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The man and Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. But Mr. Naruhodo, I've seen one with my own eyes. They often depicted the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd ever come to this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. Bobby's helmet. What? The helmet? Hey, of course. I have to try one on one day. Well, I hope your Hattie dream comes true. I don't see Inspector Gregson anywhere. Shall we see if we can sneak past and investigate the scene of the stabbing? Why should we sneak? I don't want to be upset with one of those bobbies. But buddy on the head by one of those metal helmets. The skull would crack in two, I'm sure. Oh no, an English Bobby would never do such a thing. This is a land of gentlemen, you know. That's one of the officers from Scotland Yard. The police are making sure the crime scene is undisturbed. I have a feeling that if we wander too close, we'll be clapped in irons. I think perhaps you're being a little overcautious. We've done nothing wrong, so we have no cause for concern. Oh, I'm not getting caught again. Twice is enough. Twice I found myself in handcuffs despite not knowing a thing about what was going on. Yes, you've had some dreadful experiences. I'm sure that wide-eyed look of panic you're so prone to does you no favors at all. Gee, what a delightful snowman. I didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. It looks a little creepy, though. Oh, it has a scarf. Look. You need one if you weren't out of this freezing cold all the time. I wish I had one. I'm afraid our budget is somewhat frozen at the moment, too. We certainly can't afford a scarf. Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person we made the snowman certainly would. Yes, I know, you're right. Anyway, even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, would it? It's covered in snow. Oh, the Scotland Yard carriage. They use vehicles like this to rush to crime scenes and cart away criminals. You're very well informed, aren't you? Been a long dream of mine to ride one of those through the streets of London. Well, I'll just pick up a stone and throw it through one of the windows then. But that would mean being arrested in order to ride it. Wouldn't it? Still, if it's the only way, help me find a good stone. No, I wasn't serious. interesting. Oh, a British bicycle, look. Although the wheel is so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't have possibly ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. It seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. There's even a monument to change women's dress to allow them to ride as well. Bicycle fad won't last. I don't see why anyone would want to ride something like that. Oh boy, are you wrong. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. It's just that any occupation that involves taking both your feet off the ground seems reckless. You ever tried walking on stilts or falling off a river? Yeah, I know you agree with me. I'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You can sit behind me while I ride you around. Oh, look at the windows of that building there. Are you sure they're windows? Yes, but they're all filled with bricks. Oh, you're right. I wonder why. Perhaps an empty property where nobody lives at the moment. There's smoke coming from the chimneys, though. Oh dear, everything still feels very foreign. There's so much we have to learn about this place. That's a rather typical old brick building, isn't it? I'm sure it has a long and interesting history. Well, it certainly has to taken its toll on the place. It's crooked and sagging all over. In fact, it looks decidedly worse shape than the other houses around here. We must find some cheap lodgings ourselves as soon as possible. Yes, you're right. Cheap, but ideally with reasonable level floors. Patch of pavement must be where the incident occurred. Yes, it's a very wide open space, isn't it? That's true. I can't see anywhere an attacker could have been hiding. Oi, what are you foreigners doing here? Ah. Oh, we investigating the scene. Conspiring with a mustache fella from Japan, are you? Conspiring? Come here to destroy evidence, are you? Get out of here before I give you an eye and go on. He shooed us away like rats. Yes, we should give him a wide breath, I think. What a disappointing experience. To the prison! So these are the British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. Feels like just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo, you're making it seem worse. Apparently, our client is in the cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, a legal representative is here to see you. Stop by near the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I? Am I a cat? As yet with no name. Calling me by a number, it's utterly unbelievable and justly unreasonable. I refuse to. Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea, but I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tyrannical place was Japanese. Excuse me, but who? Shh, quiet. They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening. Even now, I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you who exactly? There you are. You come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. A ghost. We mean you no harm, prisoner son. Are you? Okay. I think she's trying to. I think she said prisoner son, because she's kind of being formal because he is Japanese. Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it. It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land. So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice, here in this damp, dark hellhole was a most monumentally moving moment. Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strongheart assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? Ah, what compassion my fellow countrymen show. Dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a rear-forward student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. First-class lawyer. Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example. Yes, I can. I will. Say sullen and silent. I'm not quite sure I understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. I thank you for your cooperation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Dunitseki Naruhodo. And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Chisaru Mikutama. I am a visiting student, sent here by a government. Notably, notoriously, named Natsume. Sasaki Natsume. Something summer. Sasuke Natsume-san. What's an unusual name? Call me Saseki, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No, don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And a haiku, it really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student, sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this. It's beyond the pale. Suffer that misery. Did you not want to study here? No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh, but just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No. What do you mean? If they told you to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable. I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise, words, on white, washi. You must be a man of great standing. Oh yes, so I'm often told. And I often like to be told, it seems. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you were arrested, Saseki-san? I didn't do it. I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife, right before my eyes. Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's this curse, the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. Saseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. It was an accursed evening just after the snow had started to clear, heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Sure, the bookshop wasn't accursed too. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone on my feet. She's pretty short, too. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps? I was terrified. I had to get away from here. She also has a lot of books there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Sosuke-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know any of these fair-haired English and a young woman at that? I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Saseki-san. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one? Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? Oh, what conundrum? What do you mean, Sasato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Saseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says that he didn't know the victim and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did. But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Are you... What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops, perhaps I thought a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Saseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he went there in the first place? Oh yeah, she's right. It was him, that accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck, accursed great detective. Could it be? I'll never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, begone. May you be cursed until the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the moment after the nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a silver hard cheese when some man suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police! Put the weapon down!" Yes, it was a thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting, dietary, discrimination devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes. It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is really well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts apparently. He thinks I'm a knife-wielding madman. Me, the weak, stooped kitten of a man. I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged in their way in. Of course you were, that's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me. Impossible English. Fiendish foreign film flammery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point. But my mind went blank. I know I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say, so I just kept repeating things like, "Yes, I do, and I'm fine." The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. Before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear. I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine. He's not fine now. It's Naruhodo Esquire. Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Oh yes, alright, yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I have defended the case in the Old Bailey, only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what the justice in the country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. I'm not even the foreign student that was supposed to be here. I'm a sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband, the mark of the defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake from the man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake. I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, what do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before, when it happened, there was only the victim to myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them. Someone not to be trusted. I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said, and of course the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. I see where he's coming from here. You couldn't do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see that you've been through. Soseki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student to Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. We should be going there, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for.